Someone let me know out there in YouTube land if my volume is good. Give it a second for some people to get in here. Derek. How am I sounding, Derek? Big D. How am I sounding, Derek? Big D. Hey guys, thanks for joining me tonight. I can hear you too, Derek. I can hear you too, Derek. And that's what I needed to know to kill the other speaker. Yeah, you did hear an echo. I was running back and forth from the other room. Derek, thank you for the amazing cartoon that is now on Facebook. Get the QT logo in here. Maybe eventually they sponsor me. Then maybe they sue me and say, stay away from us, stay out of our stores. We don't want your money. Go away, you horrible little man. That's what they're going to say. Not sure how you're hearing an echo, because I'm 100% silent in the studio. Are you still hearing it now, Derek? Yeah, everybody loves the cartoon. I like a lot of the ones you did for other people too. Are you still getting an echo? Ariel, good to see you. Live Freedom, good to see you. And Catbird, good to see you. Guys, let me know if you hear the echo again, because I don't think you should. I had it up before anybody got in here. I had my volume up before anybody got in here, because I figured if I can catch it before you do, then, we're all good. Guys, snakes on the plains. I know people get sick of me talking about them. Seriously, go check out their most recent short. The first milk snake of the year in Oklahoma that I know of, and then the amazing short that Nate and Steve put together. Seriously, that is probably one of the coolest. I don't like, I dig shorts. I like them. I like the, 15 to 30 second whatever, get to the video and, get it done. I've got some stuff I'm going to hopefully be releasing on short soon. Kind of haven't wanted to do any lives for a while because man, spring herping season is popping around here. And 2 weekends ago, I went out with Snakes on the Plains. We hit an amazing rattlesnake den. And I want to talk to you guys about that because I'm starting to get some questions about things. Catbird, go to Snakes on the Plains, his most recent short. Seriously, leave this live, go check that out, and then come back and then thank me, because you will. Eh, it's kind of really awesome to see someone that hasn't been doing it as nearly as long as you have come up and start blowing up and start growing. And I think it's going to be a really crazy year for both Snakes on the Plains, the Pemberton boys. They're both my guys. Really, really like them. They're both really fascinating. And they both produce some really crazy videos. I was going to do a live the other night, but I was ended up cataloging some footage from a concert. Mark always wins tickets to everything. That dude's a ticket winning machine. He literally wins tickets to more stuff than I can go to. Anyway, he comes up with tickets to Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, and Warren G. Not everybody's favorite music. However, I'm an old school like Warren G, Ice Cube fan. Didn't care that much for Snoop Dogg, although he put on a good show. And Warren G had never been to Oklahoma, to the best of my knowledge, so it was really good to see him. I'd caught Ice Cube and Snoop before, and I'm a big Ice Cube fan. I'm not as much into Snoop. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But kind of got stuck at home with family health issues. Hey, Life Freedom, what was weird? I kind of got stuck at home that weekend. I actually wanted to be on that milk snake trip with Snakes on the Plains, but I thought that was like a 3 hour drive, and we had some stuff going on about family health situations. We've got a couple. We had one person in the hospital. My wife's nephew was having or his wife was having their first baby. And it was, sometimes you got to miss some things. Sometimes you just got to realize that the snakes will indeed be there next year. Thank you, Ariel, for posting that. Seriously, click on that link. Do not feel like you're going to miss anything by pulling away from my live. Um, I literally just that's one of the coolest shorts I've ever seen. And once again, I'm not just saying that because Nate is my buddy, but um, they did some innovative things for a short. Most shorts don't get that much work. I wouldn't put that much work into a short, and that's fine because I'm lazy like that. I just take the route of least resistance. Sorry you had to reboot your phone, Life Freedom. I am glad you're here. I'm glad you're working wrench for me tonight. I may jump on Discord a little later. I don't know if you'll be around. If you're not, you're not. If you are, you are. No worries. But anyway, I started getting a couple of questions. Oh, there's the one I'm wanting people to hit. First milk snake. That one Ariel just threw up. Um, that's the one. That thing is spectacular. Oklahoma has some of the most amazing milk snakes in the country, my personal opinion. Kansas has got some hot ones too. Illinois, right up there. Missouri, great ones. But I really do think we've got kind of the corner edge on where they're the best. Now people are going to disagree with me. That's fine. Gotcha, Life Freedom. I've caught some of your shorts, and not bad at all. Not bad stuff at all. But been kicking around. I've been watching a lot of like lens review videos this week. Um, Kind of starting to seep back more into the photography element. That and the fact that you can do a little more, you can do some things with photography you can't do with video. Yeah, Live Freedom, man, dude, anything you're doing, I'm either catching live or I'm catching the replay. Okay, Catbird, I mean, I'm not lying. People will think I'm pumping it because it's my buddy Nate. No, that's one of the coolest shorts you'll ever see. The first milk snake of the year, and thank you, Ariel, for posting that. I love you, Ariel. You're always there with what I need. Um, it really is just. I mean, like a lot of times when I make a short, it's not dynamic. It's just here's the 10 seconds of footage, here's the 15 seconds of footage. Some of it's gonna be a little choppy. Nate really took a short and made it a work of art. And it's just one of those shorts you got to see. Ariel, feel free to post that as many times as you want. throughout this live. I don't know how long I'm going to be on tonight because I'm going to try to get a few other things done. Exactly, Ariel. That was like perfect. That's the Pemberton boys that's helping him with that. We're not gonna fool ourselves. That's Pemberton boys knows how to speed ramp the drone footage, and I'm actually getting about ready to pay him to give me some lessons on that. I am actually going to shoot a commercial, take some commercial photography tomorrow for a friend of mine's storage site. And they're going to use it on like their Facebook and their marketing, Google Plus, things like that. So I'm hopefully going to be doing some droning tomorrow morning if I can do it before the wind takes off. Yeah, that was a very, very pretty milk snake. It was an Eastern Oklahoma special for sure. Nobody's special. How you doing? I was just talking about the concert a few minutes ago. Guys, check out Nobody's Special's channel. He gets some like live music and stuff, things you don't always see. Hey Eric B, how are you? He got some good video from that concert we went to, and you know it was a good time. It was a good time out. But like I feel like I'm going in 6 different directions at once, so bear with me as I collect my thoughts. Life Freedom, you ordered a new computer desk. I have been doing a lot of work to just get mine cleaned off to where I can get my printer hooked up and working. My computer desk, there's a reason I keep the camera the angle it is. My computer desk is an absolute mess right now. But yeah, and the music was cool too, Catbird. That short was to me something like really good. And once again, just far better than the average short that you see on YouTube these days. I'll be a little bummed if that thing doesn't like hit like 50,000 like his other Milk Snake short did. He did just like a random Milk Snake short, wasn't as nearly as good as this one, and it like got up to like 50,000 views just like that. And I you know, I don't know if it's just Milk Snakes or one of those things that, like Cottonmouth. If you do a short on a Cottonmouth, I guarantee you are going to get some views. They just, people just view them. Doing good, Gary Kelshaw. How are you? But a friend of mine, good guy, well intentioned, and I'm not in any way griping about his concern, but he hit me up and was letting me know, or he said that they went looking for Western Diamondbacks today, and he's like actually in a different area than I am. He's actually more on my side of the state, but he was searching for them like over kind of like the Arkansas, Oklahoma area. They're harder to find over there. And I told him, I said, dude, man, you're not following my channel, man. Check out my video. Because, like, we found a ton of them in Western Oklahoma last weekend. And so he brought up the fact that he was a little concerned that I gave out the specific location of the den site, which made me think I need to do a video on this, because I know a lot better than to ever give out anything specifically marking a good, hot location. You just don't do it. It's kind of like a fishing hole. If you tell your buddies where you're catching your fishing hole, next thing you know, it gets overfished and it starts being no good. Hey, Ariel, make sure you drop your own link. Seriously. I would do it for you, but I'm kind of got a few things going. But anyway, he said, you gave out the exact location. And I said, Now, I'm talking to him in Messenger, and like I'm not going to repeat word for word what he said, but I was like, no, I didn't give out the exact location. I actually kind of was a little bit deceptive with the B-roll footage to not to throw people off, but to kind of obscure the exact location. The location, which was the Rattlesnake Den Snakes on the Plains chronicled, and then the one that I later chronicled, both are on private property. Or, well, the one is on private property. The landowner is very environmentally sound. He's not going to, let people who are hunters on it. And it brought up the point that, sometimes, like, I can slap together a video and I'll, like, throw in some B roll from another area or a different part of the state or something. And I'll do that just to kind of like mix it up. Granted, if you're technologically savvy and know how to pull coordinates, things like that, sometimes you can figure stuff like that out anyway. However, a lot of people were concerned because I showed a den and then I showed the windmill that was like right above it. And he was kind of concerned that the windmill would give away the location. Well, this particular area is located in a huge wind farm, 20,000 acres, over 500 wind turbines. And at the base of one of those was the den that we filmed at. Once again, private property. That happens a lot in Western Oklahoma. There's a ton of wind farms in Western Oklahoma. And they can kind of be catastrophic for like raptors, birds of prey, things like that, bats. They don't know that that they're going at night or something. They don't know that, and they'll get nailed by them. So there is like a concern, but there are hundreds of turbines on these huge wind farms in Oklahoma. And once again, we were in the western part of the state, and the entire western part of the state, anywhere there's rocks, there's a chance there could be rattlesnakes. I mean, granted, I don't want them being hunted either, but what a lot of people don't know is if you want to hunt rattlesnakes, if you contact the organization that hosts the hunt, a lot of times they have a guide that will take you out. And also there's a lot of other places that are a lot easier to find and get to than where me and Nathan went. So I can assure you that short of the short of like someone pulling together the coordinates and everything, and being able to decipher that when you have your location services turned off on your cameras, it's another important point, and something that I feel like a lot of people should pay more attention to. Am I worried about someone going out there and messing with it? No, I'm not. The noise from them cause cancer. Not that I'm aware of. Those things are pretty quiet. Snakes don't hear like we hear. They have internal ears that sense vibrations, and snakes are also, even though they can get cancer, they can survive radiation. They're in the late 60s. A missile test site in Nevada was actually studied, and low-level gamma radiation was sent into this patch of desert, and the desert, this like section of the desert was fenced in to where like snakes couldn't crawl out, rodents couldn't crawl out, lizards, other things couldn't crawl out. And what they found out is like in the event of a nuclear war, the reptiles are like way more likely to survive than the humans. They noticed a sharp drop in like the pocket gophers and things that were in this area, but like the tortoises, the lizards, the snakes, none of those suffered any ill effects from the radiation that was being purposefully sent in there. Because what the government was doing, looking back, is they were studying, what would happen to the environment, animal life, human life, other things in the event of, nuclear war, nuclear fallout, stuff like that. Pretty much life freedom. Reptiles can be really resilient in a lot of ways. Their body systems are not like a swarm-blooded creatures, and even like birds and mammals. I think they're reptiles and birds are kind of like close in the evolutionary hierarchy, but at the same time, they're just totally different. But anyway, this one guy, like I said, he raised the concern that, you know, or did you not give out the location? No, I did. I really didn't. I actually, and this is to give away some of the trickery and BS that I pull. I said, this is me driving through this town. It wasn't really the town I was driving through. I took a picture of a road sign. It was like 40 miles the other way. And that's kind of what you do to kind of obscure locations and things. Now, like someone like SmetLogic or Luby would watch this later and they would understand exactly what I'm talking about. And once again, it's not that like everything is super private. I mean, there's a lot of things going on these days, things like HurtMap or INAT, stuff like that, where people can get a feel for where these animals are. And you still have to narrow down the habitat inside the habitat for a lot of them. But yeah, but like Eric B brought up, it's like, this was a guy who does not want them being hunted. It's his land. He leases, part of that land to the people who are operating the wind farms. And then they're like some of the only people allowed on it. Plus, there's a really nasty bull out there, and you've got to cross at a certain time. I'd be more concerned about the bull than the landowner shooting you, honestly. Hey, Derek. Yeah, pretty much. I trick people to keep them away from my spots. And it's not really even that. It's kind of like anytime, like if it's a spot I discover, take for example, Lake Bixoma in Tulsa County. It's a bastion of biodiversity, but everything there is fairly common. The western smooth earth snake is one thing that's there that's not really that common. But at the same time, anywhere you find a pile of leaves next to a water source, they could be there. That's just where they like the mulch. They like that humus type material that, earthworms get up into, because that's part of their main diet. Exactly, life freedom. You got to stay clear of the bull, and you kind of got to know when and where, you know, you can cross. And this landowner, he would have straight up shot someone who was trespassing. He would, I mean, he had no trespassing signs all over the place. Still, I'm going to be discreet with the location, and I'm even going to throw out some things to trick some people. Hey, Iron Dog. Hey, Fungus Queen. How are you guys? Good to see you tonight, Iron Dog. It's been a while since I've made it into one of your lives. when it was live. Doing well, Fungus Queen. Thank you for joining us. I kind of been a little bit behind on my lives just because of spring herping taking off, and that's always like a good thing. Um, it's this time of the year is like the best time of the year for me. It's when snakes are hitting. It's when amphibians are moving, things like that. Snakes are leaving their hibernaculums. They're easier to find, and it's just a good time of the year. I'll say that. But anyway, you know, if I have a spot like Lake Big Summit is like my spot, it's a few other people's spots too. But like if there was something rare or like highly endangered or something that was like really heavily collected, um, I wouldn't pin it on INAT there. I wouldn't pin it on Herp Mapper there. At the end of the day, it's like protect the animals and screw the science and screw the data. I mean, it's like, and some of those things are getting more and more prevalent about protecting locations because some of the things that are getting pinned are rare. And hey, Life Freedom, yeah, up there, it should be down here. It's been that way for about 2 or 3 weeks. It starts a little earlier down here generally to for things to start moving, just because we're further south. It gets warmer quicker. And Catbird, you make a great point. Like, you do miles of hiking to find your dens. You're in a place where dens are really even hard to find. I mean, you're lucky to find a den. When give out the location to anybody. And another thing, Catbird, I would look up some videos on YouTube of like how to obscure like the data that you take with your phone or the photos. Because once again, not that like you get into some really remote areas, I doubt you'd have like a lot of problems up there. But that's another thing you can do. You can you can obscure locations and things like that, and you can also throw some people off by throwing in some landmarks that don't belong, which is what I do. I'm sneaky and cunning and underhanded like that. I have no problem saying these are a few of my favorite things. Is it cheating? No, not really. It's art, and it's just the way I create it. And some people may say that, but piss on them. I really don't care. I If I have a site that I've discovered and I want to share it with someone, I will make that decision myself. Once again, if there's a species of special concern there, like okay, like in Oklahoma, one thing that used to be statewide and now they're very, very rarely seen, especially east of I 35, is the Texas horned lizard. We call them horny toads, or a lot of people around here call them horny toads. In the 70s and the 80s, they were all over the state. They were like all over Tulsa County, all over Washington County. These are green places with like a lot of trees, a lot of water, a lot of lakes. Not the kind of desert plains habitat you expect to find them in. And anyway, it's hey Morbid, how are you guys doing? Good to see you, Miss Solo. But they're an animal that we don't know why they got wiped out from a large portion of the state. Some people think it's pesticides. Some people think it's the invasive fire ants. Some people think it's a change from the grass that grew here to the Bermuda grass. So, it could have been any one of those factors. It could have been a combo of all three. It could have been even more than that. Could be climate change could be playing into it. We don't know. But what we do know is that a lot of times, there's sensitive species, so you don't want to tell people where they're at. Whereas, like a western rat snake, or a prairie lizard, or a collared lizard, very, very common statewide, you're not going to really, there's not a lot of commercial value to collecting those species. Almost like something like a western rat snake or a common garter snake, it's more cost effective to breed them in captivity anyway than it is to, go collect them, turn around, and sell them for profit, and hope they live. So you definitely want to be sensitive, especially when it's someone else's spot or when someone else develops a relationship with a property owner and they allow you, passage onto their property and they don't allow other people. Excuse me. It's getting harder and harder to get on land. When I was hunting, like we used to go raccoon hunting or rabbit hunting when I was a kid back in the 70s. You could just take off across anybody's land back in those days. People didn't even, few people had up no trespassing signs. Today it's a little different. I think we're in a more litigious climate and people are more um, scared that you're going to get hurt on their property, you're going to turn around and sue them, da 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 da, and it starts this whole trickle of things. And you also have to take into account that, like, one time I came under fire for listing a timber rattlesnake in my Keystone State Park video, which actually the timber rattlesnake wasn't in Keystone State Park. It was like it was like in the same county, but it was like in the northern area, and everybody knows they're there. But then again, I did what I could to obscure the location. And that's an animal that can get collected or can get targeted because they're venomous. A lot of people like to kill them. Some of the commercial rattlesnake collectors collect them. But at the same time, I also know the commercial rattlesnake collectors in my neck of the woods, and I know that they have easier spots to get at than where I was. So, like, even if that would have been a legit call, you got to kind of see through the BS sometimes. Or you don't have to see through the BS, but realize that, what you put out there may have a little bit of BS thrown in. I kind of think about like, like high profile celebrity types. Like on Facebook, they may check into like this restaurant or this area and then they go to another one across town because they don't want to be mobbed. They don't, they want to be left alone. Either that or they just keep quiet about where they go. But because I got a question about that, I thought, I figured I'd do a live about it tonight. So if you see me getting attacked anywhere, please let me know. But at the same time, also know that, I know how to keep things under wraps. A lot of people, that's why I don't share my videos to like Facebook a lot anymore. Because there's always some like punk kid who has never been field herping or has been field herping for 6 months, or all he knows how to do is parrot what he's read from someone else. And then, it's like, then there's someone out there like me that's been flipping rocks since, the 70s. And, I just kind of, you kind of know some things, and we've kind of seen how to grow with technology, still keep certain animals safe. Um, that being said, there's a ton of things I will not pin to iNat, um, or iNaturalist, which is an app where you can log your sightings. They have them for birds too. There's like an eBird app or something my friend Matthew uses. He's a good dude. And birds kind of a little different because they're not like really tied to that one biome. Like they may be there this time of the year, but like 2 months from now, they're going to move further south into Mexico, or they may move further north. They like the cooler temperatures. Exactly, life freedom. I really, what gets me about Facebook, especially with the reptile groups, is people, like if you don't post something for 6 months, or you're not active, or you're not like a group admin, it's like people literally think they can just tell you that what you're doing is wrong. And you, like, I'll give you an example. And Catbird noted, yes, you did. And I believe you are correct. Um, there was a certain species, it was not the Texas horned lizard, but they, I know they were up into like Wyoming, Montana. I don't know if they're still there. I do know through the Central Plains states like Kansas, Nebraska, they were there. They were even into Missouri. They were into Arkansas. They were all over eastern Oklahoma, and they went there. But I'll tell you this real quick. This guy, he's probably in his 60s today. He is an absolute legend in the reptile field. His name's Randall Berry. I want to say he was at one time the reptile curator at the Little Rock Zoo. Now, please don't quote me on that because I'm not exactly sure. I want to say he was a zoo curator, and it may have been, I want to say it was Little Rock, or he had something to do with it, or he was a keeper there, or something. What I know for a fact about Randall Berry is he was messing with venomous snakes before I was born, and I was born in the early 70s, and he was a full-grown adult messing with venomous snakes long before I was born. The guy's got a ton of experience, and a lot of things he came up with, like a lot of techniques and different things and stuff. He was kind of an innovator in that field. And I saw someone on Facebook in one of the rattlesnake groups, and usually I'm pretty quiet on Facebook, but I'll go out there and create pictures and stuff. And there was a lady who was free handling speckled rattlesnakes. They're small. Their venom's not very like highly toxic like Mojave rattlesnake toxic, but you still wouldn't want to get bit by one. And she was like handling them and all this stuff. And and Randall and this other guy named Terry, who has been around a long time as well, was saying, look, this really is not safe. They make tools so you don't have to interact with these animals this way, and you can still interact with these animals. She didn't care. She had been messing with rattlesnakes less than 5 years, I think, by her own admission. And once again, she's going off telling someone who's been at it for 50 years that they're wrong. And just the whole millennial, I don't know that I want to say millennial mindset, because I don't want to offend millennials who are good people. Now, if you're a trash millennial, then piss off, I'll offend you. But exactly, Devil Book, I like that. I kind of that's my kind of thing is I'm getting sick of Facebook toxicity. I'm getting sick of people who tell people, like people who have done like 20 years research in a specific field, get told by someone how to do something. Exactly. No respect for the people who paved the hobby. And not even the hobby, but just the whole science in general. The hobby is one aspect of it. Once again, exactly. Someone comes along and they're new, or they do something flashy, or they do something stupid. I have no problem putting it out there. I don't like free handling. I don't follow any free handlers' channels. I don't want to be associated with it. The respect of scientists and professional peers in this community is far more important to me than, whether or not I saw so-and-so's newest video, who's probably going to die within a couple of years if they keep doing the stupid crap they're doing. I mean, king cobras, mambas, stuff like that. Serious snakes, kids. They will end your life. But exactly, Iron Dog to me nails it because, a lot of people came before, and I'm not saying that the older generation can't learn from the younger generation, because I do all the time. And I acknowledge that I do. Like Snakes on the Plains, who did that amazing short of that Oklahoma milk snake. I tried for about 12 years to flip a milk snake. And I learned from people who were been doing it a lot shorter amount of time than I had, how to target the species, successfully find the species. It's like you go after that species when it's this temp, not when it's this temp. I know logic dictates, higher temps, but for this species, you go lower temps. And here's what you do, and here's why. And so, no, can younger people come up with better ways to do things or more science? Some instances it's technology. I'm not one of those people that throws out technology all the time, but like literally, like 20 years ago, I can remember in the early 90s, I had just finished being a volunteer at the Tulsa Zoo, and we had started herping and stuff out on our own. And I remember like writing a physical letter to the then curator or the lead keeper at the Oklahoma City Zoo, because we had heard a rumor that he had a technique for finding milk snakes in central Oklahoma. We didn't call him on the phone because, who could afford the long distance phone charges? Okay, there's people in this room who will remember long distance phone charges. Um, and once again, I could like literally end this on what Iron Dog said. No respect for people who pave the way. 100%, that's where it's at. Now, once again, sometimes you catch one of them in something that's off or something that's wrong. And, you know, how that situation is handled to me makes a lot of the difference. I've learned, don't ever challenge anyone unless you have like evidence sitting right in front of you. Right on, Fungus Queen. Nailed it. Not so long ago, I was one of the first people I was one of the last people to actually own a cell phone. I mean, I remember it was like 2008, 2009. I still did not have a cell phone. And like, I was one of like two or three of my friends that did not have a cell phone. And yeah, today it's like me and Ariel can like FaceTime through Instagram. And and it's like I talk to people in Australia, and it's just amazing. And exactly, Fungus Queen. I missed that comment earlier, but you bring up an important point. You hate the people on Facebook who never owned a snake telling you how to take care of one. And what I've noticed from stuff like that is there are geniuses, like in the turtle community. There are geniuses in like the arboreal python community. They will not go near Facebook with a 10-foot pole just because they were like, they were the first to breed this species in captivity. And then some 16-year-old kid living in their mom's basement who doesn't even own a reptile tells them that's not the species that 7 other scientists agree that it is. I mean, that kind of stuff to me is like really annoying and really disturbing. And and I'm just kind of like, anymore. That's why I think I'm going to do my YouTube stuff. I'm going to do some stuff on Instagram. Overall, I'm going to try and stay away from the drama. They do the same. Right. Like, yeah. Excuse me. Which really is interesting, Life Freedom, because I saw a thing on prepping earlier from a lady named the Good Patriot. I don't know about her political views or any of that. I do know she's pro Second Amendment. So that's a plus in my book. But she was doing like, why you should prep and what could happen. And I don't know that she has a Facebook presence. Facebook is it's just becoming toxic trash. I remember a time where, like in a lot of the snake groups, if you would have said, well, no, this snake has hemotoxic venom. If someone challenged you and they didn't know what they were talking about, everybody else involved in the science would come in on your side. And, to me, I'm kind of looking around going, wow, where are those days? Where are the days when you're right and then other people that had actual credentials, 50, would come in and defend your viewpoint? The fact that that's gone to me, just, I don't know. It's just like literally, I keep scaling down my Facebook more and more. I just don't be surprised if you send me a Facebook request and I deny it. It's not that I don't like you. It's just you can follow me on Instagram and there's a lot less drama over there, and there's not the groups. If you don't keep your reptiles like the admins do in that group, then you're wrong. That's what I've noticed. You're absolutely right, Iron Dog. Some of the reptiles I keep in minimal enclosures, and you know people will like ask me, well, how do you keep a rattlesnake without substrate? And I'm like, I don't know. The bottom of that plastic tub he's in has to be softer than that rock that they bask on in nature. These animals don't die when they touch hard surfaces. And then the plastic is easier to clean. And once again, there's so many people out there. I mean, I've seen it with across all spectrums where, like, like this one lady, her name slips me off the top of my head, but she has bred every colubrid you could think of. I mean, milk snakes, corn snakes, king snakes, bull snakes, pine snakes, Dana something or another. It seems like, and once again, I don't even know her that well, but I know she knows her business when it comes to captive husbandry of these animals. And once again, she's everybody's go to. When I had those prairie king snake eggs 2 years ago, a friend of mine hit her up to find out, like, what do I do to incubate those? This, that, and the other. Once again, why is someone who's never owned a snake questioning someone who has successfully bred them for 15 years? Facebook is where that happens. So, on that note, I wonder how many people those groups have turned away, new keepers. Oh, exactly, Iron Dog. That is a huge, huge problem I see with Facebook reptile groups. And I want to say Mark's Reptiles recently did a video on that, about where he was kind of like, I understand the logic behind it. You really should research a reptile before you get into that species or acquire that species. But what if something happened? What if you were gifted a Trans-Pecos rat snake? Not an easy species to establish in captivity. I'd say that's more of an intermediate. Exactly, Iron Dog. You saw Mark's video. But like something like a Trans-Pecos rat snake, they're not easy to get started in captivity, especially if they're wild caught. Okay. If someone asks a question, do you give that person the answer that will help them and help the animal? Or do you make it a hobby or sport to blast them? So many people have like went that route of like, oh, let's blast the person. And not that the blasting doesn't have valid points to it. Yeah, you should do your research on a Nile monitor before you get a Nile monitor. You should do your research on a Gaboon viper before you get a Gaboon viper. And if you have to do research on either of those, you probably shouldn't be getting either. But at least at the minimum, do the research. But at that point in time where you can determine this animal's in possession of this keeper, okay, let's do what's best for the animal and leave our egos at the door. And once again, you do what you can and then you walk away. I have a friend who had a certain species. I'm not even going to say what it is, and I kept telling him, look, you need to get the heat up. He's like, this animal's not eating. Yeah, yeah, exactly. They forget it's about the health of the animals. It's more about their own ego. And honestly, that's why I'm a little bit negative about the whole thing with USARK and where it's all going. I just, Iron Dog, I mean, and I'm not bashing USARK. I'm not saying don't support him. I'm just not real optimistic we're going to win this time. But I told him, I said, look, let's just call it a Euromastix, real high temperature lizard, basking spot of 150, minimum cage temp of like 78 to 85. That's where, that was like the last recommended care sheet from someone who knew what they were doing that I saw. Euromastics, they love the heat, they love it hot, they need a high temperature basking spot, and it can be really achieved by even a low wattage heat bulb just a few inches from the rock. It's like you could put a screen top lid on an aquarium and put like a 40 to 60 to 75 watt bulb just inches from that, and you could achieve that spot for that animal. And this guy could not get it out of his head that this animal is going to be the same temp as the other animals in his collection, which I think were predominantly corn snakes, rat snakes, things like that, king snakes. And he ended up losing the Euromastics because of that. Well, I knew what to tell him. I told him, I said, if you don't believe me, check with these other people over here. And I don't know that he did. I know that they would have told him something similar. His animal didn't eat, the animal died. Honestly, that's a person that it wouldn't bother me if they were never legally allowed to own a reptile again. I don't care. I don't care. When you can't make it about the health of the animal, about the well-being of the animal, and providing that animal's basic needs, you don't need to be keeping it. My backyard swimming pool, it would be full of crocodiles if I had my way and could afford to feed them. I literally would I would have like this mini Steve Irwin compound in my backyard. Iron Dog, you've seen my backyard. You know what I mean? I would literally have that thing filled with alligator snapping turtles. You know me. But anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox. But any video that I put out, I'm going to take care to make sure that identifiable landmarks are not seen if species of special concern are involved or species that are collected for the trade are involved. Not that I'm against all collection, but that I know that some things do get over collected. Western diamondback rattlesnakes being ones. We have commercial hunts, and then we have commercial collection going on outside the hunts. A lot of people don't even know about that. I'd like to do a live on that sometime. So I have separate rooms for my reptiles. They like it way hotter, and some like it. Exactly, Fungus Queen. You have, like, your king snakes and corn snakes seem to do well at low 70s, maybe high 70s, mid 80s right after a meal, then right back to room temperature. They're fine. Certain species of rattlesnakes, they do great at room temperature, but then there's other species that need higher temperatures because they come from just hotter areas. And so, people get something, like they get a rattlesnake or, a colubrid or a gopher snake that comes from an area that's uniquely hot, like Death Valley or something. And they don't give it 100-degree basking spot, and then it doesn't make it. And then they say, why? It's like, not one size fits all, guys. Knew a guy who I really don't think the guy should be keeping stuff, but he had a pet crocodilian. He said it wouldn't eat. I said, okay, what's the water temps? And he's like, just room temperature. I said, you got to get that water temperature up for that animal to eat. That animal, you are tricking that animal into thinking it's hibernation time. And, well, I'm not going to do that. Okay, dude, it's going to die. Don't call me again. Seriously, lose my damn phone number. Because if you're not going to give that animal what it needs, or you're too cheap to go buy a $20, $30 heater, or a couple of them actually is probably what was needed, you shouldn't have got the animal. And once again, I'm not going to drag the person. I'm not going to drag their name through the mud. I'm not going to launch an attack against them. However, if I was next to a vendor and they were talking to them at a reptile show, I'd be like, hey, don't make that sell. Don't make that sell. Hey, give him a month, he'll have it dead. Whatever it is. But anyway, guys, I am sensitive to locations. I do put some pictures in my videos. Sometimes people think that's me giving away the location. Think about it like this. Maybe that's me tricking you into thinking I'm somewhere other than I am. And it would be a great technological effort for you to verify that. Like I said, the rattlesnake den was beneath a wind turbine, and in one wind farm, there's over 500 turbines. Not to mention the 4 or 5 other wind farms in the area. They have hundreds of them too. How do you know I was at this one? How do you know I wasn't at that one? Maybe I said I was at this one, I was really at that one. You start being crafty after a few years of field herping, and then you get burned. A couple years back, I'm going to close on this. So if anyone needs to get out of here, don't feel bad if you bail. But a couple years back, a friend of mine gave a milk snake spot to another guy who posted it on iNat. Once again, iNaturalist has its good uses. And posting species that are common on there, I have zero issue with. Milk snakes, people will go and look for them. They will collect them. They will tear up the habitat looking for them. This whole habitat got obliterated from one internet post. So I understand the concern, but also understand. I didn't start doing this yesterday. Most of the people I do this with, they either respect my opinions or they agree with them. And I'm not saying that you can't disagree with me to some degree, and I still like, I want nothing to do with you. You disagree with me. No. But like Iron Dog one time was telling me something about, like a captive issue. It's something I hadn't even thought about. And he's like, Todd, there's more than one way to do this. And that's kind of right. He was right. But anyway, gang, I'm going to kill it. We're right at an hour. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. I just wanted to throw that off my chest and say, hey, if you guys see me getting attacked on Facebook, let me know. Because I generally like to... I don't really like to argue and fight with people anymore. Used to, I would live to like argue on Facebook all day. Now I'm just kind of like, okay, I don't care. Screw you. Whatever. But seriously, when you're watching one of my videos, think about this. If I post a picture of a sign that says Wagner County or Washington County, maybe I'm in Kiowa County or, Caddo County. Think about it. Good fishermen and smart fishermen protect their good fishing holes. Hey, Life Freedom, I might see you in about 5 to 10 minutes over there. Guys, thank you for showing up tonight. Iron Dog, thank you especially for showing up tonight. It's been a while since I've hit one of your lives live. I've been trying to do the replay, gang. Fungus Queen, good to have you. Solo, good to have you. Nobody Special, had a blast with you last weekend, man. Except when people were getting in our way and standing in our way. That kind of bothered me, but Hey, you got some good video. I got some good video, man. Peace out, guys. I'll be up and around later. Text me, message me, and I'll be in touch.